today. So it is. Let's give the people a chance to get on board. I'll get up Facebook comments on my phone.
Yep. Just give you a...
Afternoon, Ali. Afternoon, Ricky.
Ricky Milligan. Now, Ricky, I'm not a relative of the late Spike Milligan. I wonder if you are. Must be somebody up here, you know.
Hi, Kevin, Karen, Stephen, Kirsty, Jane, George, Mr. E, Woopet, Eddie, Lenny.
I'm just going to say hi, guys.
What one's that?
I'm not going to tell you what we're going to be talking about today, but it's a great subject, and I'm sure you'll all be right into it. Because there'll be many experts amongst you that know all about it. And you've read.
Hiya, George. My elder brother's watching.
Right. For you are the dark side. Oh, bloody hell. What name?
Right, what we got? 60, 50, 55. We'll get a couple minutes. 69. It's climbing quick. Should you are the dark side?
Yeah.
You've got to love YouTube, haven't you?
Impressive. Very impressive.
Hey, Ann. Ali. Al. Hi, Lorna.
Hi, Davies, brother.
Right, that's enough. Let's get started.
Right, okay.
First topic today, the McCrone report. The McCrone report was published or handed over to the Secretary of State for Scotland 49 years ago today. 49 years ago today, so I thought we would talk about it a wee bit. Now, as we know, Professor Gavin McCrone was asked by the Secretary of State for Scotland back in the 70s to have a look at Scotland's oil, how much there was and how wealthy it could make Scotland as a country. And he did that report, handed it out to the then Tory Secretary of State for Scotland. And at that point, the Tory government collapsed to be replaced by
Harold Wilson.
Harold Wilson. And when the report went into the hands of Harold Wilson, he stamped it secret and put it away for 30 years.
He made Sir Anthony, or I don't think he was a sir at the time, Anthony Wedgwood Benn was made into the Energy Minister, who then took the centre position in terms of the UK government's response to this newfound resource that was being pumped onto the shores of Scotland at the time. And he was on TV most nights, on talk shows or whatever, and his standard response was, well, it's poor quality stuff, and there's not very much of it, so I understand. And that was the comment, if you like, by unionist politicians for the next 40 odd years.
And they're still doing it. They're still telling us it's running out, even though the Cambo site's even bigger than the other one west of Shetland. That one that was kept secret and hushed up for us on the 2014 referendum. What was the name of that one?
What, the Clare Ridge?
Clare Ridge, that's the one. Aye, the Cambo.
We were actually told that we were being conspiracy theorists over that.
Yep.
There was a one of these hustings type programs just before the 2014 referendum, and I actually remember that the Clare Ridge was brought up by one of the audience members, and the guy that was in charge, I forget his name, the big living bloke that was Labour, and he was in charge of Better Together. He said, "What? That's conspiracy theory stuff. That what are you talking about?" And he knew exactly what was going on. And David Cameron went up the road. He flew up the road to actually check out a new block of flats that had been built in the Shetland Islands. And as if we thought that that was an appropriate thing to do, where he would never do it even just outside London, he went up to check out a set of flats in the Shetland Islands, and when there was the largest oil, light sweet crude oil field being proven at the time. And it was a load of nonsense. It really was. Cameron was going up there to find out what the score was with that, and he was scared that was going to get out.
Yep. In fact, he sent all the workers home, didn't he? Paid them full price till after the referendum.
Yep, and we discussed this on a previous week. The words of those men were told on the deck of that rig was, "Now we're sending you home for 3 weeks in full pay. And don't be talking to any wee ginger cats or you'll no be coming back."
Right.
And that was talking about the ginger cat that we had in Shetland. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yes, Shetland, sorry.
Yes, Shetland, that's right. Now, I see Wolfpet's been reading the McCrone report this morning, and that's because the national newspaper has published the McCrone report in full this morning. Yeah. Because I have my copy here. And on the front page it says how Westminster stole Scotland's future from us. Yeah. And they're still faking lying to us. And the same thing will be done with renewables, as David's about to tell us.
Yeah. So okay, right, we're at a crossroads here, guys. All right. We know that due to global warming, that oil and gas and all of what they call fossil fuels are harming the planet. So we need to stop taking oil. Scotland, however, has got ahead of the curve on that one. And what we've done is we've put a lot of wind generators up, and also we've got into tidal generators. So the renewable thing is the new direction. However, those big oil companies have got a large amount of investment certainly in gas production. And what they would like to do is they would like to use that gas production and term it as being a renewable source.
Correct.
By producing what is called blue hydrogen. Not green. Yeah, not green hydrogen.
A great point on Facebook here. And that is, while Scotland is rolling rich and resources, we have got people going to warm banks to stay warm.
That's right.
Winter.
And food banks to eat.
And food banks to eat. Talking about which, guys, the fundraiser's still on. If you can afford to throw a couple of pound in the pot, please do. If you can't, don't. You can make donations via super chat, super sticker, super thank you on YouTube. We haven't sorted out something for Facebook yet. I'll get that sorted out.
Okay, just to continue.
Get the star scheme on YouTube where people can buy a star. You know what I mean?
Okay, right. Just to continue on the point I was making. At the time of, even when the McCrone report was released, you imagine we were coming up towards a referendum being called at the time and all the rest of it, right? So this should have been a way to open the eyes of the people of Scotland, and didn't. It was treated yet again like conspiracy theory. Oh, that's too good to be true. That can't be true, right? Well, yeah, it was true, and it is true. And what we've got to do as campaigners is we've got to make sure we tell our neighbours and our friends and the rest of our family that we now have this thing called renewables. And that is the new wealth that Scotland has.
Thanks, Hugh, for that super chat. Super sticker.
Yeah,
very generous of you. Now, as we know, they are making the same plans to deny Scotland its renewable boom as they did with the oil boom. And they're talking about Scotland's renewables being able to raise £25 billion a year on export to the European Union on behalf of the UK. Thanks, Lorraine. Generous of you. Very generous of you. So we find ourselves in a position where we've got a second energy boom coming up. The old one's no running out no matter what they're telling you. Because David and I have got a grip of the McPhail report.
Yeah.
The Subsea 7 area is the biggest oil and gas sump in the whole of the bloody planet.
Yeah.
It's never going to run out. We're going to have to stop using it, but it's never going to bloody well run out.
The chance of Scotland floating away in the stuff.
Aye.
Hey, that's independence for you.
It's important that people are aware of the McCrone report. The amount of people out there who still don't know anything about the McCrone report. Thanks very much, Phil. Thank you very much. It's very generous of you. So if you get a chance to get your hands on a copy of the National Today People, buy two, leave one in a public place where some union can pick it up.
Yeah.
You know. Aye, Eddie, they are reporting a 20% rise on energy prices, even though the wholesale gas market has more or less back to where it was before the start of the Ukraine war, if not even cheaper.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, can you pop up Nathan McAllister's comment, please, David?
Yes.
It's this thing about Norway and Scotland, and a similar sized population discovered oil off their coast at the same time as we did, and what they did was they effectively put together a sovereign wealth fund, which means they kept a proportion of it back for the people. And also the main oil company for Norway is publicly owned. So consequently, when you look at the Norwegians, effectively, on paper, they are like millionaires in their own currency, that is. Whereas in Scotland, we discovered oil and got poorer as a result, because at the time we had the Goshen formula for producing the money that came back to Scotland from the Treasury, which was 11% of everything spent in England and Wales, and that changed to the Barnett formula, where that became a much less figure. It started off, I think, about 10% and then went down from that. However, there you go. That's what we got for discovering oil on our doorstep.
Billy on Facebook, Billy Holland, saying that Scotland's resources are protected constitutionally in law under the claim of right. It's not just theft, it's treason to every sovereign Scot, apparently. I don't see where that comes into either the claim of rights. Wants to remove a member of wants to remove a head of state, and the other wants to change the form of governance we have. So, but I do know that there's nothing in the treaty that allows them access to Scotland's resources.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, when it was written, they didn't know anything about oil and gas, Really didn't figure, did it? It was the power at the time was the power to win over the Pope at the time.
Aye.
To give his assent on various things happening, We saw that Robert the Bruce wrote to the Pope and asked him to back him up on requesting the English to stop attacking Scotland.
Yep. But the claim of rights sent away in 1320, come back in 1323, and then the church went into meltdown. Let them run about, run the boot, dubbing everybody a sovereign. Hey, when you think about it, it must have been an ecclesiastical nightmare. How do you transfer the sovereignty from a king to a people? That must have been an absolute mind bender for all the priests out there at the time,
I'm not sure. I'm sure that it's the same as King Henry VIII. The edict of a monarch was law in itself. The fact that the monarch said it brings it into law. And at that time, it would have been the same with Robert the Bruce when he said, "Look, I'm not sovereign here; the people are."
Aye, but you know, to get back down to it, the claim of rights, the only one only allows us to move ahead of state, and the other one allows us to change form of governance to something that suits us better. There's not much about resources in either.
Yes.
So I don't think it's relevant. Right, let's move on to subject number 2. I know you don't want to, but we've got to. The leadership contest.
I'm shocked at what I've been reading over the past few days with regard to the leadership race, we'll call it. Very, very nasty. We're better than this, guys. We're better than what I've been reading. We don't need to tear politicians apart. These are people that were SNP politicians, and many of us would have just supported them, standing up and speaking, saying their piece, right? So we need to get away from this. We need to stand up and be better than what's actually being portrayed at the moment. Yeah.
Aye. But anyway, let's get to the runners and riders again. As we know, there's 3. There's Kate Forbes, there's Ash Regan, and there's Humza. Now, the bookies' favourite's Humza. And the polling done so far is Humza on 64%, Kate on 20%, and Ash on 16%. So Humza's the bookies' favourite. Ash is making a lot of noise about no needing Westminster's permission to dissolve the Treaty of Union and to declare independence.
I hope she's right. I hope she's right.
She's right. I've always said it. She's right. You know. And then, of course, Kate's getting a booting of religious things, and Alex Neil's battering into Humza, saying that he wasn't at a meeting on the day that the equal marriage was made.
The thing I'm disgusted more with regarding Kate is Kate's a member of the Wee Frees, but if you go up to the Highlands and go to the Western Isles and all the rest of it, right, the churches up there are mostly Wee Frees. There are some churches of Scotland, but they're mostly Wee Frees, right? And for Kate to be harangued for that, now, when I spoke up about it, I just thought, well, it's not me she's going to have to take it from. It's the mainstream media. They're going to choose every moment they can to knock her down because of her beliefs. But was it Christine? What's the other the famous SNP MSP? Christine McKell. I forget her name. Big, quite a heavy one with blonde hair. What's she called again? Christina. Oh, right. I'll look it up later on. But anyway, she was on. She did a wee interview, and what she says was, it doesn't matter what somebody's faith is or whatever, right? So long as they can set them to one side.
As long as it doesn't interfere with democracy.
And that's the same as Humza. He said himself, I'm Muslim, and he said, there's lots of things in that religion that should affect, but I set to one side. That's not what you do when you become a politician. You have to talk for all the people. Yeah? Not just for your people. You have to talk for all the people.
Yeah, apparently on the Scottish Prism last night, I don't listen to push like that. You guys are nutter. But on the Scottish Prism last night, apparently Humza wanted to wait to 2050. I never heard that coming from Humza's mouth.
Oh dear.
Never heard that coming from his gub. What I did hear coming from Humza was he wants to set up constitutional conventions round the branches to get the members' ideas about what the step forward is. Yeah. Ash just wants a majority of MPs and a majority of votes in an election, whether it be a Scottish or a Westminster election. Then she intends to declare.
Yeah.
We've already heard from both Rishi Sunak and Comrade Starmer the Red Tory leader, that they won't recognise either a general election or a Scottish election as a plebiscite. So Ash is probably right on that one. Just date and declare and feck them.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens when we declare, whether the international community does what's expected and steps up to the plate, or whether we get ignored by the rest of the world and at the same time.
The politician I was talking about was Christine Graham.
Christine Graham. What did Christine Graham have to say for herself?
No, it was just she was talking about Kate Forbes.
Aye.
Quite rightly, look, it doesn't matter what somebody's faith is or what church they go or what school they went to or whatever. The most important thing is that they speak for the whole of the population. Simple as that, right?
And that's the thing that I think some SNP members and independent supporters forget. The office of First Minister doesn't just represent us who want independence, believe it or not. The office for First Minister also has to represent everybody else.
Yep.
Dross did vote against gay rights and same-sex marriage, but we can't say much about that. So, as I say, anyway, when it comes to runners and riders, I'll do another wee update on Friday myself. People seem to misunderstand the first one I put out. I had to put in Friday, I had to put out another one on Saturday and say, well, I'm not promoting any of these people. I'm just telling you how it's being portrayed in the press, what I can see it being portrayed in the press.
Well, what I'll be doing is I'll be quietly making my vote. And then when the person that wins comes through, I'll support them. Because I'm a Democrat. I believe in the democracy of the party. And I hope that all of you do too. But I don't believe that we should be creating the filth, utter filth that I've been seeing on social media from things said about Katie Forbes, about Humza Yousaf, about Ash Reagan. I mean, it's dreadful. It really, really is. Shouldn't be doing it, guys.
You're probably going to find it's not actually us that are doing it. You've got to remember, there's mass infiltration out there.
Yeah, okay. But,
and social media is a sewer. And anybody who makes a decision off information on social media, they're not going to make a good choice.
Listen to what the MSPs have got to say for themselves. That is perfectly okay, so long as they're not knocking one of their competitors. Let them get on and talk about themselves and what would make them a good First Minister. That's fine. Base your vote on that, but definitely don't base your vote on some nonsense that you've read from somebody that's got an axe to grind about maybe Ash Reagan or Katie Forbes or Humza Yousaf. Just don't. All right.
As I say, don't. If you're going to use anything to get information on what these guys are saying, use your search engine. Don't use Facebook. Don't use Twitter.
That's right.
Use your search engine and get the correct information on what these people are saying. And there will be hustings around the country over the next 6 weeks or so.
Now, the great thing about that is that all of these candidates should be easy to talk to, because remember that in the SNP, that's the whole trick, is that the members should be able to talk to the high Hedians, just the same as if they were talking to each other. So by all means, get to the hustings, ask them the most awkward questions, let them answer, right?
Eddie's asking if does the party leader need to be First Minister? No. You see, I could have thrown my hat in the ring to be party leader, but I couldn't also throw my hat in the ring to be First Minister. I'm a member.
Eddie, in a lot of ways, it is the same as the Tories. The party leader can be different from the Prime Minister, but it is the norm that the leader of the party becomes the First Minister. That's the way it goes. It just seems to make a lot of sense.
Lorraine says she's booked in to see a hustings because right now hasn't got a clue who to pick. That's the right way to go about it. That's I'll be watching them online I'll be listening to them online actually because I'll be working in the evenings, so I won't be making it.
When is the actual vote, Dave? Have you got any dates on that yet?
It's the 23rd. 23rd day. I think the closing date is the 23rd of March.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. I do remember seeing that.
And we've been saving all the interviews to Wolf Pet's YouTube channel. Yeah. You watch them all again there at least once. As I say, I'll listen to the hustings. They'll be going out online. I'll be listening to them. I'll be listening, especially when it comes on hold, as it's in my area.
Yeah.
You know. That's true, Reg Fairbairn. I've been saying this all along. People misuse the internet. You know, a smartphone, a PC, a laptop, an internet connection, and you have the sum total of human knowledge at your fingertips. Yeah. Your search engine's your friend. I've said that repeatedly. Yeah. So I've.
Brian Cunningham says it's good to see the Chain of Freedom event date announced.
Aye.
It'll be the organisation of it that's the hard thing to get across. Now, I do hope there are certain people that have got that well in hand, because I'm not taking any part of organising it. What I'll be doing is on the day I'll make my way down to the canal path, and the people that are there, I'll be interviewing them as I go by, and I'll get as far as I can. Right.
Hashbury Stumbles is asking, does the First Minister make party policy? That generally happens when it's done by committee when a manifesto is made and published for an election. I'm sure the First Minister will have input in it the same as others, but party policy is generally set by it could be a branch that sets the party up in a particular position or policy.
I remember clearly when the SNP, the question was, after independence, are we going to be part of NATO, right? And I remember that was the most heartfelt debate I've ever seen of any party that the UK has ever known, right? And that was brilliant. In actual fact, what they used to call the big BBC guy, Brian Taylor.
Aye,
even Brian Taylor, that was blooming dyed-in-the-wool Labour man to his blooming soles of his stocking feet, he said that was the most heartfelt debate he's ever seen. And that was the party members literally blooming tearing each other to shreds to discuss something that was of great importance to each and every single one of us. Okay, turned out the SNP did vote to become a NATO member in the event of independence.
That's right, aye. I remember that debate actually.
Yeah, it was good. It was actually good to watch. If I remember, that was real, powerful democracy at work. That was the kind of democracy that you would hope that every other politician in the UK would take a hold of and go, that's what I want. But no.
That's for the next subject, Eddie, but we'll get to it. We're still talking about voting for the SNP. Now, everybody seems to think the most important thing here in this actual SNP leadership contest is how quickly they can get us over the line. You know, that seems to be the bit that everybody's listening for.
Yeah.
You know, what's Kate's ideas for us going forward? What's Holmes's ideas for us going forward? What's Ash's idea? Well, we know what Ash's idea is. And she wants to make every election about independence going forward. You know,
now one could say that waters things down, right? But in actual fact, that's effectively, I have to say, that's what I've been shouting for. Look, can we not make it whereby what we'll do is we'll quickly have a Scottish plebiscite election and get it done this year, and then if that fails, we drop on to the Westminster plebiscite election. Why not? Why not have as many hits at the ball as you want?
It was interesting to see Bernie Sanders' contribution yesterday on the Sophie Ridgely show. I don't think we were chuffed with what he had to say.
I support independence, but don't tell anyone.
I support the Scottish people's rights to choose, but don't tell anybody I said it. And I was ripped I shoot them because they thought they were going to cut it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think they realised it was going out live. I think they thought they were going to cut it.
I like Bernie. I must admit. Can you imagine being a socialist in the American Senate? I mean,
No.
he must go home every day with bruises and bumps on his head, you know, because they're all they call him openly a communist, and he's not a communist. It's just the Americans. No, certain Americans are that bloody thick that they think that somebody that actually thinks about people that are outside the blooming those with money are communists.
That's so. They don't understand socialism. They've been programmed to think that any form of socialism is communism.
Correct. That's right.
You know? So socialism is bad.
Yeah.
But as I say, it was interesting to get Bernie's contribution yesterday.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting.
And he's been talking the past few days. He has been talking about the NHS, and he's saying, for goodness sake, don't look at the American system as something you should do. If there's something wrong with your NHS, then fix it. Don't change it to an American system. That would be wrong, you know.
David McGuinness, when the First Minister is elected, will you be writing to them, recorded delivery, postage, to let them know how you think the road to Indy should be done and what you want them to do? Now, I'll be at the ballot, folks. But if you want me to, I will. If you really want me to, if you think I'm going to have that much influence on them, I'll certainly write to them. I'll even show you the envelope recorded delivery if you like.
Now, what the two of us are waiting for is we're waiting for the special conference to be held. Because we've already got our tickets booked, if you like, to go to that special conference. So the both of us, if they try and do something stupid, like waiting for the Westminster election to be run as a plebiscite, then we're going to speak up. We're going to say, no, we want the Scottish election to be run as a plebiscite. We want it done now. We want it done, well, not now, but as quickly as possible.
Well, right? What we do know is Sims is going to kick that into long grass because he doesn't want to hold a special conference. He wants to hold branch meetings. Well, he wants to set up groups of branches. And listen, we've done this before, groups of branches. I mean, the North Lanarkshire Policy Forum, we're supposed to put forward policies to the party. It hasn't met in years. Yeah. They just kept fighting with each other. Yeah. You know?
Whereas, if they do a special conference, then it's dealt with on the day by everybody that's there. So that's the way to do it.
And somebody here says special conference has not been ditched. No, I never said it's been ditched. Yeah. It's been suspended at the moment, but Humza doesn't want to have that special conference. He wants to have groups of SNP branches getting together, holding conventions, and then sending their ideas of the route forward into the National Executive Committee.
It's a case of the tail wagging the dog. Let's say Humza becomes First Minister and he says, no, there will be no special conference. And all of the members of the SNP then speak up and say, yes, there bloody well will. Do you think Humza is going to stand in the way? No, he's not. He's going to go, all right, fair enough, guys.
And according to Phil, the route to India needs to have input from us. The SNP are too comfy in the bath and their baffies. Phil, you want to say on the way forward for independence? Join the bloody SNP because there's nobody else out there that's got a say. Simple as that.
That's right.
We're the bus. You know, there is no alternative to the SNP at this point in time.
That's right.
The Alpha Party can check backwards in 50 years.
You could join Labour, but I don't think that would be much help to you.
And they say the Alpha Party, you know, I can see what Ash is trying to do, reaching out to them and things like that, and trying to get everybody back together and going in one direction. I can assure you, when the campaign starts properly, people will pull together. I was out, I don't know how many times I've said this, I was out campaigning with Labour for Yes, the Greens, the Radical Independents, SNP, standing in bloody train stations at 7 in the morning, holding papers out to people getting on trains. You know, going round doors all around Scotland with Radical Independents taking surveys. So,
Lorraine, I see Lorraine's comment. She says, I'm a member of the SNP, but I would rather the whole indie movement has input. Of course we all want that, but at the same time, it's different this time to how it was back in the run-up to 2014. Back in the run-up to 2014, you had the Yes campaign was the centre of everything, right? However, when we're on this bit, it really is about the SNP, and that's the way I believe it should have been on the run-up to 2014. The Yes campaign at the time, I personally believe, was a wrong move, because it invited people that really weren't good campaigners, weren't able to win elections, had the ability to actually say what direction the campaign was going. And that was wrong. That was really wrong.
But when you get right down to it, Marco Ronaldo's right.
Yeah.
If the Scottish people want to show an appetite for independence that Westminster cannot deny, then the independence movement as a whole needs to join the SNP. If the SNP's got 2 million members, nobody's going to argue.
That's right.
Nobody. How many years has Marco been saying this for now and nobody's listening to him?
You want it? Hold your nose if you don't like the SNP and sign up, get a membership.
Yep.
And for what it's going to cost you, I mean, it really is a stupid amount, right? Yeah. Just get it done. It'll be the best. What is it, $5 a year you can do it for, David?
$5 a year for those on low income, 12 quid a year. For the rest is 10 a month, whatever.
It's for nothing, right?
Buttons. But Marco's right.
And I'll tell you what, see the amount you'd save off your blooming electricity and gas bill to begin with, right? That would pay for it easily. And then some.
Marco's been saying this for years and he's right. If the Scottish people want to show Westminster an undeniable appetite for independence, and that is then the 2 million people in the independence movement signs up to the SNP.
That's right. But will that happen? No. Because we're not too concerned with pushing or paddling our own canoe. You know, at the end of the day, it's like, if that's what it's about, guys, then we're never going to get independence. But we do need it. We started off with the McCrone report. How long are we going to have to do this for?
How long are we allowed to steal our assets?
Yeah.
How long are our children going to grow up hungry because of mismanagement of some muppet next door?
Yeah, how long until we just realise that until we all get together and link arms, Chain of Scotland, you know, the Chain of Freedom, my goodness me, everybody should be doing that one, right? But we're not going to do it. Yet again, sliding away.
77,000 people. Very difficult to 77,000 people out.
Yeah.
We've done it before. But they ignored 180,000 of us in Glasgow. They ignored 220,000 of us in Edinburgh. Why?
Right.
There's 5.4 million people in Scotland.
Yeah.
If 2 million people sign up to the SNP, it's undeniable, and the electoral register can't deny it either.
Yeah.
You know? No, we're not going to tell you anyway, John. John says he's not going to ask us which candidate you or I are going to pick. We're not going to tell you. It's a secret ballot. In fact, I haven't even asked David, and David's not asked me.
That's right.
Not the sort of thing that we need to talk about.
I did tell people who I was going to vote for, and that was Angus Robertson, and he never stood.
He ain't standing.
No. So.
And
I just thought the moment I started to see the mass band of snipers that were ready to blooming kill whoever they didn't like, I just thought, I don't want anything to do with this. I really don't. Do any of you? Please tell me you don't. Please tell me you do not want to see the amount of filth that's been put out against each of the candidates. It's ridiculous.
Phil, you're right. The list of achievements, David and I have went over it. The list of achievements that the SNP have achieved since coming to office.
Wonderful. Right.
We have been through it. We've also spoke extensively here, and I've done it in other YouTube channels, about the better social contract we have here in Scotland with our government, what the English and Welsh people have with their governments. And in fact, I've just spoke on Friday. I was telling you guys about Chris Whitty telling the Commons Select Committee that Westminster really has to follow the lead of Scotland, because Scotland's got a much better social contract with its government than what Westminster has with its. And that's their chief medical officer doing that.
Now, what we have to understand is Nicola didn't do all that by herself. No, Alex Salmond had a hand in some of it, right? And then when Nicola took over, she did it. And I don't think they're just the First Minister. They don't do everything. They rely on the team about them to make things happen, right? So it's that team that's important, not just the First Minister. First Minister creates the face and the voice that puts out what the party line is, what the policies are, and all the rest of it, right? But it is the team that make the thing happen. And but every part of the SNP, each of the members is part of that team, because I can go to my SNP branch meeting and I can have a discussion that ends up taking policy forward to the high Hedons, right?
The National Executive Committee.
Yeah, so there you go. Right.
But let's move on, because time's getting on. And as we know, the PM and big ears are over in Europe today. Yeah. Rubber stamp the new NI protocols. It's no good enough for the DUP. And the ERG are no happy. But Starmer's already told Sunak, you'll get this through. I'll vote for it. You know.
What do you think the end game here is, David? What do you actually think? After all this is said and done and the dust is cleared, what do you think the end game is?
What, for Northern Ireland?
Aye.
Reunification.
Aye, me too.
Reunification is going to be the answer.
The DUP are not going to agree with this, right? And, are we any further on finding out who it was that was responsible for the shooting of that poor policeman?
Part of the new IRA have claimed that they did it.
You know, to what end? Why are they doing this now? Is it because the protocol is up for question? Nobody said yet.
Well, basically what's going to happen is soon it's going to come back. The other reports I'm seeing today says that's how got Brexit done.
Yeah.
The NI protocols will be implemented.
The
ERG and the DUP are about to be thrown under a bus by Sunak. Is that a bad thing? It's going to be bloody interesting. Thanks, John. Thanks. Great. Thank you very much, folks, for your contributions today. But anyway, the nub it is they're tinkering around the edge of the protocols which were arranged originally by Boris Johnson, as we know. Yeah. And they're tinkering around the edges. And the idea is a green line for goods going into Northern Ireland that are destined for Northern Ireland only. There'll still be checks on stuff coming back this way to Northern Ireland. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And the European Court of Justice will be the final arbitrators on trade disputes and trade legislation in Northern Ireland, which won't be acceptable to the DUP. As you already pointed out, David, they are not likely to go back into Stormont,
yeah,
which means direct rule.
Yeah.
And if it continues to be direct rule for X amount of time, if I remember right, there's going to be a border poll.
That's right, every 7 years. And I don't know when that's...
Every 7 years they get to ask themselves, do we want to have a border poll?
Yeah,
They get to have a border poll if they want every 7 years. But
No,
I think
let me just tease that one out a bit, right? If they're allowed to ask themselves that if they want a border poll, who gets to answer? Is it the people? Is it the people both sides of the border?
Aye.
Do you see what I'm getting at?
When it comes to a referendum on reunification, both sides get a say.
Yeah.
And if it was a Mora, the South would vote to keep Northern Ireland out.
That's right. That is the real nub of the issue.
Yep.
And it's a bit of a shame that is the case. But if you look at that as being the troubled child on that island, Northern Ireland, where all the troubles were and all the rest of it, right? The people in Southern Ireland would most definitely look at that and go, no, we really don't want that being part of us, right? And I remember when we were having a wee bit of a debate, if you remember, early last year or the year before, where Boris was mentioning about a bridge to go from Northern Ireland into Scotland.
Aye.
And we were going, no way, no, please, don't even go there, right?
And apparently Jeffrey Donaldson, who's the leader of the DUPs, he's tweeted that the DUP will take time to read the deal before deciding whether to support it or not. Bollocks. I can assure you they're not going to.
Bollocks. They don't need to read it. They're just going to go, no.
The very fact that the European Court of Justice will be the final arbitrator on any disputes is a deal breaker for the DUP and for Unionists in Northern Ireland. Who believe that they are British for some mad reason.
No, what you're saying is that gives the DUP the excuse to go no, without having to justify any other move.
Well, you've got to remember, from their points of view, any border disputes, any trade disputes arising through the protocols, as far as they're concerned, Mother England should be dealing with it. I mean, I've never quite got this. I mean, Maximilian Robespierre says the same thing. But the people in Northern Ireland, the Unionists in Northern Ireland, actually think that they are English. Or British, if you like.
Yeah, the people we know, aren't they? Yeah.
No. The English don't want them.
Yeah. The Southern Irish don't want them at the moment.
At this point in time, maybe once Sinn Féin wins the next election in the South.
I think it's going to take a fair few years of the people in Southern Ireland seeing the people in Northern Ireland at least as being, right, we're okay, we're all right, guys, we're cool with each other, right? But at the moment, it really is. However,
after chumps, they actually believe they are British and something called Britishness exists.
Yeah.
Newsflash, people in Northern Ireland, as far as we're concerned in Scotland, England and Wales, you're Irish.
Yeah, you're Irish.
Here in Scotland, there is only 16% of the people in Scotland that identify as something called British. Only 16% of the people in Scotland identify as British, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah.
That's that stuff that means that England doesn't have its same culture anymore. Yeah. That's why England's got an identity crisis. It's also why the English people, when they travel around the world, they tell people they're British and not English, because the English are not really that popular, unfortunately.
I think what most of the normal folk of Northern Ireland want is they just want a bit of stability, a bit of normality, and to be honest with you, the protocol, as was, gave them the best of both worlds. They had a bit of Europe and a bit of Britain, and it meant that they had a great ability to trade with both. And it's even down to the point where the Scottish fishermen are now landing their fish in Northern Ireland, so they can get it in the European market. If a fisherman can work that out, anybody can work that out. Why the hell have people got such a problem with this? DUP, slide over.
Aye, the majority of people in Northern Ireland want the protocols anyways, we know. And Lorraine says Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland are a bit like England and Scotland. One side wants British rule and the other side wants nothing to do with British rule. Lifelong problem. to be honest with you, I don't even think unionists in Scotland want British rule. That's why devolution is so popular. You know, I mean, 86% of the population in the last social survey said that Holyrood should be making all the decisions for Scotland.
That's right.
Sorry, that was 61%, sorry, in the last social attitude study. Said that Holyrood should make all the decisions for Scotland.
That says to me that 61% of the voting population want independence.
Aye, that's exactly right.
Because if you follow that through as a logical statement, so what you want, Mrs. McGlumfer, by saying that you want the Scottish Government, Holyrood, to actually make all the decisions, you need independence to make that happen.
You're right, James. The DUP won't accept anything while Sinn Féin are the majority. That's all right. Now let's get back to Sunak's deal. Him and Big Lugs are out the other day.
Yeah.
Lugs is meeting Ursula von der Leyen, somebody with security or something like that. It looks like Lugs is getting himself politicised again. You know. And Sunak's supposed to be out there and he's going to bring this deal back. Will MPs get a vote on it? Aye. Will we actually get to see what this tinkering with the protocol was? Looks like it, because we never got to see Boris's deal. If I remember right, it was just put in front of Parliament, and because of the local majority, bang. Nobody has ever got to see what was in the bloody deal. In fact, if I remember right, SNP MSPs had to travel to London. We're only given an hour in the room with these this massive document. Yeah. Nuts.
That's actually pretty funny. I remember that. You know, it's like, how disingenuous can you be to actually pull a politician from another part of the country, make them jump on a plane, travel to a room to read a document that's that thick, and be given 1 hour. And that's just...
And no allowed to photo, no allowed to copy it, nothing.
It's just unbelievable. It really is. Unbelievable.
And Paul says the new deal that Sunak signed is almost exactly the same deal that Tories rejected. I don't see it in it saying we're all going to stay in the customs union and in the single market. That was Theresa May's deal. That's the one they rejected.
That's right. Theresa May was a Remainer who took on the shroud of being a Leaver because of who she became Prime Minister. And the deal that she was bringing forward was to try and make the whole thing work. Now, I don't like Theresa May. I disagree with her politics. But however, she was a Remainer, you know. So, and what she tried to do was do it through keeping Britain.
Apparently, there'll be an announcement on this oven-ready deal at 3:30 p.m. if it's ready.
If it's ready, yes.
And that comes from Stephen Hour on Facebook. And there was a point there made, and that I thought was important, and it Sunak looks like he brought the Charles into this to appease the DUP.
Yeah, again, it's floating back to who the DUP actually are, you know. And when you figure the Reverend Ian Paisley's son saying the future's bright, the future's orange, I think that says everything you need to know.
And Paul saying that this is basically the same deal that Bojo brokered in 2019. Aye, it is. We've got tinkering around the edges, that's about it, to be honest with you.
At the end of the day, if there's something that happens that benefits the people of Northern Ireland, then believe it or not, I'm right for that, because the people of Northern Ireland don't deserve the disgusting treatment that they've been given by the DUP.
Well, the Westminster government.
No, but the thing is, though, the DUP have single-handedly kept their parliament shut. Yeah? By taking a hissy fit. And that is disgusting. That really is disgusting. That's a lack of democracy. Just the same as Scotland has a lack of democracy.
Yep, and apparently Lorraine's telling us that it's not an oven-ready deal, it's the new Brexit air-fried deal. Of course, nobody can afford to put the oven on anywhere, it ain't an air-fried deal.
Oh, everybody's got a bloody ninja.
Yes, Reg, it is all a distraction to stop us from noticing the erosion of our civil and human rights and the introduction of digital currency. Yes, it is, Reg. Of course it is. That's the whole point. That's exactly what the mainstream media is all about now. I mean, nobody's talking about these central bank digital currencies, which is going to basically see us all. See us all in the one pay grade, believe it or not, and see us all living in 15-minute cities.
Yeah.
We've all seen the plans, you know.
You dare get a speeding ticket or a parking ticket. A parking ticket, what they'll do is they'll wait until you get your car home in front of your house, and then what they'll do is they'll switch off your ability to buy petrol for that car, right? End of story. And you'll have like a 3-month ban on buying petrol for your own car.
Right.
Yeah, get it up, you, says the British government, right? And it's not just the British government that are doing it, it's all the central banks are going, yeah, give us this. This is great. Digital currency. Does that mean we can actually overturn Bitcoin and make Bitcoin useless? That's what they're trying to do. Because Bitcoin are a threat to all banks.
Yep. And apparently there's no shortages in Northern Irish supermarkets because they have access to the single market.
That's right.
Yeah.
They get
Northern Irish supply chains realigning.
Yeah, but they get their tomatoes coming in from the south, right? We get our tomatoes coming in from England, and that sometimes it doesn't reach us.
Yes, this is absolutely true. They are calling this part of the Brexit debacle the Windsor deal to try and swing the DUP around. But it's been pointed out that the ERG and the DUP will not accept the European Court of Justice being the final arbitrator because they think it will impinge on Westminster's sovereignty over us. But this is Scotland, we don't give a fake about Westminster's sovereignty because it doesn't apply, allegedly. According to the Supreme Court, it does. I'd like to see that challenged.
Yeah, the Supreme Court, they don't have the competence to deal with that. They're not an international court, so therefore they don't have the competence to answer any question that regards an issue where an international treaty, as is the case between Scotland and England, is concerned.
Yes. And I have to say, I agree with Ashley on this one. We don't need their permission. I've always said that.
Right.
And you've all heard me talk about the Stussy within the SNP when Alec and Nicola were signing the Edinburgh Agreement.
Yeah.
Because that basically ratified Section 30 of the Scotland Act, and neither has it authorised anybody to ratify any part of the 1998 Scotland Act because we voted for devolution and they decided where it was going to be. In fact, we were voting for home rule. They decided where it was going to be.
Yeah.
We didn't. Something like that.
It's maybe about time we actually took matters into our own hands, guys. I don't know what that plan would cover.
Eddie's telling us that there's been announced on the television at this point in time that a deal has been reached. So we now have the Windsor protocols instead of the NI protocols.
It's a bit like, you remember that Sellafield, which is the nuclear processing, used to be called Windscale.
Aye.
And changed the name because it was just all getting a bit too toxic. Yeah. And I think that changing the Northern Ireland Protocol to the Windsor Protocol or the Windsor Agreement or whatever they want to call it is much the same. It's just because the original name has got too much toxicity around about it. Do you agree?
Aye. Oh, and John McGowan's telling us the reason why Northern Ireland's got tomatoes and we've no is it didn't rain in the Northern Ireland section of Spain. Well done, John. Well done. Being gaslit again, you're right. Aye, Ali.
No, sorry, that really is a good one.
Anyway, we're just about to wrap this up, folks. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button and subscribe. It helps the channel. Hit the like button, please. It really helps the channel. And if you're on Facebook and you plan on sharing this, give us a couple of minutes after the broadcast is finished so I could set.
Hey, just before we go, Phil McCracken's got about smuggling of veg on the increase. New kingpin is Pablo Escobar, right? Okay. Now, does that mean we're going to have? It's not going to be called the Drug Squad anymore. It's going to be called the Veg Squad. Veg Squad, come out with your hands up.
Yeah, apparently all sorts of other YouTubers said that a friend of his used to work at the sewage processing plant. Apparently plenty of tomato plants can be found there. Okay. Anyway, they're the subjects we wanted to cover today. Sunak apparently has got a deal. It's going to be called the Windsor deal. The DUP's not going to like it. The European reform group's not going to like it. But it looks like the next one's gone up to them.
And do not forget what we started with. 49 years, Gavin McCrone report. And what that means going forward on renewables. Are we going to allow our country's goods and chattels to be taken over and destroyed by the Tories and the red Tories once again? It's up to you guys. We're just two people.
Lorraine's getting greenhouses at the back. She's getting into business growing tomatoes. Hey, just watch the electricity bill.
This is the Veg Squad. Come out with your hands up. Put down the tomato and walk away.
I've got 5 tomatoes in the fridge. I'll swap these for a Porsche 911. Anyway, that's who we're up, David. Say smash the like button if you're on YouTube, please. And if you're on Facebook, folks, jump out of YouTube and smash a like button for us there and all.
If you don't like us, throw a bloody tomato. I'll make sure I catch it whole.
Hey, listen, see when we put these bombs in the stocks, it's going to be fun whacking them with turnips. I was doing it at Old Wagon Van this morning. I said to him, BLT, please. He says, you sure want to turn up with that, David? Oh, Jesus.
Right. Okay, guys. Love you all. Bye-bye. Right.
There's one thing left today. Bye, David.
Bye, Davey.